Hello and welcome to Firstpost Africa, your window into the heartbeat of a continent and beyond. I am Gursshheen Gahllen and this is where Africa's stories meet the world stage. From groundbreaking developments to global headlines that matter, we have got you covered. Let's dive straight into today's top headlines. Israel launches airstrikes near Syria's presidential palace in Damascus, accusing Syrian authorities of failing to protect the country's Druze minority from escalating sectarian attacks. In a major blow for Germany's AfD party, the country's intelligence service labels it as a right-wing extremist group. The spy agency cites numerous instances where the party tried to undermine democratic order. In a show of strength after the Pahalgam terror attack that claimed the lives of 26 civilians, the Indian Air Force conducts major flypast and emergency landing drills in North Indian state of Uttar Pradesh. The European Union's data regulator hits TikTok with staggering $600 million fine for allowing European users' personal data to be stored in China despite previously denying such practices. And the world's biggest electric passenger ship was unveiled in Australia in a major step towards sustainable shipping. The project promises greener voyages with space for 2,100 seats and nearly 230 vehicles. We start with the latest updates from Sudan. 2 years into the civil war between the army and the paramilitary RSF, shelling and civilian deaths continue. In the latest escalation, Sudan's paramilitary rapid support forces shelled the presidential palace, marking their second attack on the capital Khartoum in less than a week. The palace had been recaptured by the army in March after the RSF seized it shortly after war broke out in April 2023. Reports say the RSF fired long-range artillery from the El-Fasher district across the White Nile, and this marks their closest advance since the army recaptured Khartoum. Until now, no casualties have been confirmed from the latest shelling. However, after retaking Khartoum, the army seemed to gain the upper hand. But the RSF is not far behind and has since ramped up its attacks in recent weeks. Since losing Khartoum, the RSF has shifted focus to the western region of Darfur. And an intense battle is ongoing for the strategic city of El-Fasher. It is the last major city under army control in the Darfur region. The RSF has intensified its assault on El-Fasher in recent weeks, overrunning 2 nearby displacement camps and bombarding the city with artillery. It also claims to have entered several nearby towns, potentially hindering the army's efforts to relieve its besieged garrison in El-Fasher. Meanwhile, the United Nations confirms that at least 542 civilians have been killed in North Darfur in the last 3 weeks. The conflict has essentially split Sudan. The army controls the north, east and center, while the RSF holds most of the west and parts of the south. The RSF has declared its own government in territories under its control, while army leader Abdel Fattah Burhan has appointed diplomat Dafala Al-Hajj Ali as acting prime minister. And the war's echoes are now being heard internationally. The International Court of Justice will issue a ruling on May 5th in Sudan's case against the United Arab Emirates. Khartoum accuses the UAE of supporting genocide by allegedly supplying weapons to the RSF. However, the UAE has denied these allegations. It has instead claimed that it intercepted millions of rounds of ammunition intended for the Sudanese army at an unspecified airport. And the army, in return, has dismissed the claim as a fabrication. So the conflict is deepening, with new fronts opening at home and growing reverberations. With international courts, regional powers, and millions of civilians now drawn into the fight, path to peace still remains elusive. For more on this, we have with us Mik El Morabi, who is a consultant with the Sudanese government. Mr. El Morabi, welcome to Firstpost.
Thank you for the first post, and I hope we
Given
can
the
present some
RSF's
answers
renewed
for the
shelling
audience.
of the presidential palace in Khartoum, does this indicate a shift in battlefield dynamics in light of the army's recent gains?
Not at all. Actually, on contrary, it confirms the loss of control. Uh, it's just a tactic of causing noise to remain in the headlines of of the media stories and to bring us to answer this question. It's simply false claims that they are in control. Technically, the RSF militia, they have 13 areas to make this noise and to shell the capital Khartoum. Now 11 areas finished, and now the two areas under the process to be finished and over from Khartoum. And already mentioned in the news, it is in the Salha place, which is a remote place. The reality in Khartoum, that people in Khartoum, they are celebrating that they are coming back to their homes. The governor of Khartoum now back to the offices, 10 ministries. There are back. The Saudi hospital opened. The ambassador of Saudi Arabia, the ambassador of Qatar, the Saudi military attaché visited the army command, and the life is normal now back to Khartoum. What is happening now is just the tactic, as I said, is of causing noise to remain in the news stories and to show that they can do something and they can regain Khartoum. The Sudanese government regained Khartoum, which is the biggest city and the capital, also regained Wad Madani, which is the second biggest city in Khartoum, the state of Jazeera, all the area of the middle of Khartoum, north, east, and Kordofan, most of Kordofan. And now they are advancing to Darfur or El-Fasher. And my concern is that I don't call the area that the RSF deploy their criminal elements, I don't call it control, because the control gives you the sense of governance. There is no governance, just human rights violation and genocide. So in the area of the Sudanese government and the army, I can say that there is control, there is government. Sudanese people already celebrated the secondary certificate, which is the strongest and the well recognized in the region. And the Sudanese government implemented this exams within the war, and that proves the power of real government controlling people and provide them with education and health and services. While in the area of RSF, I cannot say control. So it is the idea of dividing Sudan between what so-called RSF and the Sudanese government, that is untrue at all. In the area of RSF, you just find the genocide and killing people, and no education, no health, nothing there.
Mr. El Morabi, what are the strategic implications of the RSF's ongoing offensive in El-Fasher, and how close are they to a full collapse of central authority in Western Sudan?
They launched more than 188 attacks on El-Fasher, and they killed the civilians and the citizens, the refugees and the displaced people in Zamzam camp just close to El-Fasher. What they are doing is just killing people, shelling people, bombing the city, but they couldn't do anything. And as of El-Fasher, just for the history and just for the records, Darfur remained when the British Army in the 1901, they came to colonize Sudan. They colonized Sudan, and after that, they remained 16 years to get into El-Fasher. So, or to get into Darfur. So the area is very complicated. I know that the Sudanese army will still advancing to the El-Fasher area, to the Al-Dain, to Niala, to all the cities of Darfur, and now the Sudanese army is advancing. The job in Khartoum done, accomplished. The job in Madani done, accomplished, and in other areas, Al-Ubayd, other cities of Kordofan. All things are coming soon.
Minding all the complications and with both factions now establishing parallel governments, is there any realistic diplomatic pathway left for unification or a negotiated settlement?
I think the parallel government is just a tired lie. Actually, I like the term that the Kenyan media, they try to make this government in Kenya, and the Kenyan media, they call it the butcher government, not the parallel government. Actually, it's just like a state-led or government-led, just like a booklet, something small. And if you ask me who is the president of this government, no one knows. So that it is a big lie saying that there is a government. There is no president. There is nothing. They just make it as a card of pressure to put it in the table because they know that no one will recognize this bloody terrorist group to have a government. That will never happen. This government, if happened, it is just like a baby that born with incomplete heart and brain. I can say born to die. It looks like the government of Antonio Laht, which was in South Sudan, South Lebanon. They call it the government or the army of South Lebanon. It remained for 15 or less more than 10 years in Lebanon, and now no one knows what is this government. Antonio Laht himself ended up, he went to Israel and then he opened a restaurant, and the restaurant also failed, just like the government. So a parallel government that is supported by the enemies of the nation, that the people of the genocide, that will not survive at all.
Mr. Mik El Morabi, thank you for sharing your insights with First Post. Our next story takes us to Nigeria, where a possible sale of a big cement company is raising big questions in the parliament. The Nigerian Senate says it will summon Firstpost Africa PLC, which is one of the country's biggest cement manufacturers. And now they are being summoned over plans to sell a major stake to a Chinese firm. The Senate wants clarity on shareholder rights and national interest, and even demands the increasing foreign grip on Nigeria's cement sector. So here's what's happening. Holcim AG, a Swiss multinational and the majority owner of Firstpost Africa, is reportedly finalizing a $1 billion deal. It plans to sell 83.8% of Firstpost Africa to Huaxin Cement, which is a state-linked Chinese cement giant, and the sale of which could now shift control of a critical industry from Switzerland to China. But regulators like the Securities and Exchange Commission say no formal application has been filed yet. The Senate Committee on Capital Markets, led by Senator Osita Izunaso, says it will investigate the matter, including the company's ownership structure via the Corporate Affairs Commission. And if needed, they will even hold a public hearing. Firstpost Africa runs major factories in Nigeria, including Evek Oro and Sagamu in Ogun State, Ashaka in Gombe, and El-Fasher in the Cross River. It also supplies ready-mix concrete in Lagos, Abuja and Port Harcourt, and has a total cement output of 10.5 million metric tons per year. The Federal Competition Commission and Bureau of Public Enterprises assured lawmakers that Nigerian shareholders' 16% stake won't be affected. But there's still concern about transparency and the lack of local access to the deal. Cement powers infrastructure, housing and industry. And if foreign firms control it, Nigeria could lose economic leverage. But Firstpost is just one piece of a much larger puzzle. China's grip on Nigeria's economy has been growing for years. From trains to telecom, Chinese companies are deeply embedded in key sectors. Taking, for instance, the Lagos-Ibadan and Abuja-Kaduna rails are built and financed by Beijing. Nigeria's power plants, even those are built by Chinese firms. And even in the telecom sector, China's Huawei and ZTE supply core infrastructure. So now, with a takeover proposed of a major cement company, senators fear this may tip the balance further. And now shifting focus to Angola. The Angolan president has embarked on a 4-day state visit to India. President João Manuel Gonçalves Lourenço arrived in New Delhi today. He is accompanied by a high-level delegation comprising ministers, senior officials and representatives from leading business groups. This marks his first official state visit to India and the first by an Angolan president in 38 years. The visit also comes at a time as both countries commemorate 40 years of diplomatic ties. President Lourenço is set to hold bilateral talks with Prime Minister Narendra Modi. Tomorrow, he will receive a ceremonial welcome at the Rashtrapati Bhavan, followed by a meeting with President Draupadi Murmu. He will also take part in a high-level business forum in New Delhi designed to strengthen commercial links in key sectors, including oil and gas, infrastructure, agriculture and mining. Angola currently chairs the African Union, making this visit crucial for India's broader Africa outreach. The bilateral partnership has grown across multiple sectors. The primary area cooperation is in energy and natural resources. Angola is a major crude oil supplier to India. And discussions are underway to expand cooperation in renewable energy and hydrocarbons. Indian firms are actively exploring investments in Angola's oil and gas sector as well. Bilateral trade stood at $4.19 billion in 2023 to 2024. India exports pharmaceuticals, machinery, textiles and electronics to Angola. Several new initiatives are also being explored to enhance investment flows. Both sides are also exploring ties in defense training, logistics and maritime security. Ties are also enhancing in education and capacity building. Angola participates in India's ITEC program, which offers training in technical and strategic fields. Indian universities continue to attract Angolan students, especially in engineering and medicine. And then there is multilateral collaboration. Angola supports India's bid for a permanent seat at the UN Security Council. The two countries work closely in platforms like India-Africa Forum Summit and the G77+. And as India deepens its engagement with Africa, Angola remains a key partner. We will continue to bring all the updates from President Lourenço's state visit. And finally, to our special segment, Resurgent Africa. Amid the coups and the crisis, there are many positive stories from Africa that often get overlooked, but not on this show. Our next story is from Tunisia, where climate change has brought years of drought and uncertainty. However, saffron is now becoming the answer to these climate woes. It is becoming a beacon of hope for farmers seeking sustainable solutions. Amid a challenging backdrop, two trailblazing farmers have turned to saffron cultivation, proving that adversity is fertile ground for innovation. Here's our report.
يسميوها الذهب الأحمر دابا خاطر البيستيل نتاعها أحمر وهي أغلى كونديمون أغلى منتوج كي الذهب معناتها.
Throughout history, saffron has been celebrated as more than just a spice. Revered for its vivid hue, medicinal properties and luxurious reputation, this red gold has been a symbol of prosperity and resilience. Today, as Tunisia grapples with the harsh realities of a changing climate, two farmers are harnessing saffron's potential not just as a crop, but as a beacon of hope. In the sunlit fields of Manouba, northern Tunisia, Faiza Hamdawi delicately tends to vibrant purple flowers that hold within them one of the world's most treasured spices, saffron. For Hamdawi, this isn't just farming, it's a lifeline for herself and a nation facing years of drought.
Now, due to climate change in recent years, I've turned to crops that don't require much water, including saffron. For example, I'll replace orange trees with olive trees, which require less water.
Hamdawi, who left her administrative career in 2000 to pursue her passion for farming, partnered with Algerian saffron producer Torsh Muhammad Dia Al-Din. After a successful experiment with saffron cultivation in Algeria, Dia Al-Din reached out to Hamdawi, who shared his vision for sustainable farming. Together, they've turned saffron into Tunisia's rising star crop.
عملت تجربة في الجزائر تاع زراعة زعفران الذهب الأحمر.
I conducted an experiment in Algeria for saffron cultivation, the red gold, and after its success in Algeria over time, we moved to Tunisia. I contacted Mrs. Faiza, who is interested in organic farming, and she allowed me to conduct this experiment in Tunisia. We did it, thank God, and in the beginning years it was a new experience.
كانت تجربة جديدة.
Saffron's magic lies in its meticulous cultivation. The cycle begins in August, with the vibrant purple flowers blooming in October. Each flower contains just 3 precious red stigmas. This is then painstakingly hand-harvested before being dried naturally. The partnership's success has paved the way for expansion, with plans to export the spice internationally. But for Hamdawi, this journey isn't just about personal gain. Tunisia is battling the dual challenges of a financial crisis and dwindling water resources. Hamdawi sees saffron as a solution, not just for herself, but for farmers across the country. She dreams of sharing her knowledge to help others cultivate this water-efficient crop, potentially creating a new agricultural backbone for Tunisia.
My goal is to expand year after year, and our aim is to export saffron abroad.
As Hamdawi and Dia Al-Din's fields flourish, so does the promise of sustainable innovation in a country that's thirsty for solutions. By turning to saffron, Tunisia isn't just cultivating a crop, it's cultivating resilience, collaboration, and a future that's rich in opportunity.
And that wraps up today's edition of Firstpost Africa. We will be back next week, same time, with more stories that matter. Until then, stay informed and stay tuned to Firstpost.